I was playing around with this circuit, which is a derivative of this circuit. This one should look familiar if you've read my book or any of my posts. This is what gave me over unity, but I've come to the conclusion recently that, well, I've finally understood what somebody on Stack Exchange was telling me, criticizing, that these are merely lumped inductors. See? Lumped. And that means air core. There's no iron here. So it's empty space on the inside of each of these coils. And it can afford to gain over unity, but it's not a motor. While then I tried to play around with its derivative as best I could, and I got nowhere with it, no matter what I tried to do. But what I did do is I learned something about it. These iron core coils lock you in. They give you a certain specific output, and they lock you and keep you there, like prison. And kind of like the meditating or sleep, meditating under a pyramid shape, you know, a Cheops Giza pyramid shape. I did that as a kid, and I learned it's a waste of time because it disallows you to raise your consciousness above the third chakra. It'll take you there very nicely, it'll assist you, but it'll keep you there. And so it's a dead-end path if you want to go any further. Well, an iron core coil is the same thing, and that's why Joseph Newman stayed away from it, because he would never have gotten over unity had he had an iron core. And actually, interestingly enough, that's what he had in the beginning. He had permanent magnets rotating on the center of his massive coil. He only later moved to a glass canister of helium with an open coil wrapped around it, according to Byron Brubaker. And then he got over unity. So you see, an empty core coil works. It gives you over unity, but it will not give you a motor. It'll give you what Donald Smith gave everyone, a solid-state device that his device was intended to produce electrical power, but Joseph Newman never could. All he could do is produce torque. Now, why is that? Well, torque is related to electrostatics because of the high voltage that his massive coil was generating. But here, if you have a massive coil, you will actually generate a stronger magnetic field. And that'll help you motor better, you know, have a more powerful electric motor in your electric vehicle. So what that tells me is the difference between an air core versus an iron core is that an iron core favors the magnetomotive force, while an air or empty space coil favors the electromotive force. And the electromotive force is loosely associated with voltage, and the magnetomotive force is loosely associated with current. Loosely, it's not a direct equivalence, but it's close enough for the purposes of generalization. Because the difference is the magnetomotive force will lock you in. Now, what do I mean? Now, what's the consequence? Well, the magnetomotive force is gravity. Not current, not magnetism, but the magnetomotive force in its pure state is gravity, while the electromotive force in its pure state, not voltage, is the opposite. It's levity. It's anti-gravity. No, excuse me, not levity. It's anti-gravity. And the balance between the two is buoyancy. When you get the two forces in a state of balance, you can walk on glass and not feel a thing, because you are neither floating nor sinking into the earth. You're simply treading extremely lightly, like a feather lightly upon the earth, so you don't feel anything. The glass doesn't puncture your leg, the bottom of your foot, because there's no gravity pushing you down against the glass. And so if you want to stomp the glass with your foot, that's your choice, and get a broken glass up your foot, that's your choice. But you don't have to. You can walk lightly, and it won't even affect you. So that's the difference between an iron core and an air coil core. And it makes all the difference in the world, because it shows the trade-off. Joseph Newman could only create torque because he was dealing with an air core coil, inasmuch as there was no iron. It was an iron-free coil. It was an iron-free core to his coil. You know, he had helium and air in different places, but he had no iron in the center of his massive coil. So all he could get was torque. That's all he could get. And that's fine for a motor that runs at a specific speed. It never varies, and all you want to do is deliver torque. and never deliver any speed. You know, like an air conditioning motor to, you know, run a fan to air condition your home. But to run a car, no. But to run a tractor, a forklift, a Caterpillar tractor, sure. A shovel, one of these massive shovels that shovels dirt, you know, it's got the big scoop, you know, in a construction site, that's a lot of torque, that's not speed. So a Newman motor would work under those conditions and deliver a lot of power from very little electricity, because it's all electromotive force oriented, while speed is going to come from the magnetomotive force, but there you're going to lock yourself in, and you're not going to be able to get over unity. So I'm guessing now that maybe if it's possible is to mix mix elements of, you know, both lumped inductors and transformer iron cores in a circuit of this design to maybe get the combined effect that I want in a motor, because when we drive a car we want both torque and speed, and we want it all. So it gets a little complicated. So I'm not sure if it can be done, but that's what I'm theorizing, hypothesizing to myself at the moment, because that's what all I've been able to come up with. And then one other thing, I'll show you my little circuit here. I managed to create a little circuit. Oh, it's so cute, my little baby circuit. Why do I have... Huh? Nope, wrong one. Here it is. This is my baby circuit. So let's blow it up so you can see it. Infinite power. I've done plenty of these, believe me, trust me. I've got so many. But this one's weird because it doesn't have any capacitors. Just two transformers, and these resistors have to be there, but they don't have to be any value. They're arbitrary. I just do these for the sake of convenience. And then this is extra load. What else? And then the battery is a snap switch, so you only do it for an instant. And the cross winding on one side versus the other side that these inverse dot locations indicate is merely for the convenience of the simulator, because the simulator was having difficulty doing the math when both windings were exactly the same. But when I swapped the windings, it was smooth sailing. I didn't get any jerkiness down here indicating that and then as the power level increases, the jerkiness increases, and then it freezes up, and then I get convergence error. But when I swap the windings, I don't get convergence error. I don't get the shakiness that comes prior to the convergence error. I get nice smooth sailing. So we get a surge here that we can't know what it is on these loads, but on the voltage source it's 874.3 attowatts. And then you saw this rise come up and supersede the surge, and now I've got it running so slow that, oh, there you go. So now we've got some Yocto watts. Yoto watts. Yocto is the big one. Yoda? Whatever, one of the two. I think it's Yocta. I don't know. One of those very small. I think it's 1 to the, whatever it is. It's, I think 24 zeros. Yeah, 24 zeros to the right of the decimal. Now it's up to femtowatts. So we only instantaneously used less than a femtowatt of power. And it's mostly amps, of course. Everything here is, this is an amp-oriented circuit. It doesn't have a whole lot of volts. And Donald Smith told us that we can have anything we want. We can have all amps, all volts. We can have anything we want. Now we got some current running here on the current-oriented side of these transformers. And the light bulb's going to light up in a little bit here. As it lights up. There it goes. And so I don't need any more power than this if I've lit up the light bulb, but this can literally go to infinity, and we're going to run it and watch it go to infinity. It's terawatts now, gigawatts, but it's going to take too long, so let's speed it up. Let's speed it up some more. And it doesn't have any trouble. It doesn't jerk at higher simulation speeds. It shows that swapped winding was really crucial. And I have that in my other. I didn't realize I'm supposed to have it in my other simulator. Oh, and by the way, I realized, for the sake of our discussion, I learned from the help file that in order to see these dots, I don't know how to make them move, but in order to get them to effectively be swapped, you have to put a negative coupling coefficient in each of these. That's how you get them supposedly to swap, although I don't know if it did any good. Anywho, but it sure did do good here to just hit the swap button here, the checkbox swap secondary polarity, because now it runs all the way to the end, no convergence error, and look what we got here, infinite matrix. Wait, the error message can't get any bigger, but so you see, so the simulator came to the conclusion that it reached infinity. Instead of giving me an error message, convergence error, which shows that I properly constructed the circuit. Not only did I get infinite gain, but I got, shall we say, a mathematically correct circuit. Yeah, no convergence error, that's right. Mathematically correct. So that's my little baby of a circuit, and it's so simple. It's like, good grief. That's why, you know, don't build this and expect to get these results, because you're not going to. I've already found that out from a friend in Wisconsin. He was enthusiastic, and then his enthusiasm kind of went out, and because he realized he wasn't going to get the results he had envisioned, he thought he was going to get. Well, he was inspired by what I do. Well, you can see what motivated me to get out of Paul Falstad's simulator. It's just too easy to do non-realistic stuff. But this is an older model of his simulator that does not exist anymore, except with me, because I downloaded it and I hold on to it. I cherish it because it gives me results, very easily gives me results, which is, you know, a measure of pleasure. It's some fun to it. Here in Microcap, I got to earn it. I got to work for it, and so I still got to work on this some more. So somehow I got to combine this with this, and maybe to see if I can get any results. So we'll see. I'll keep working here. I'll work some more. If I can turn off the video recording.